1 2 1 2, check check. All right, so look, I ain't got too much time to do this one. Welcome to Liberation Minded Media. Of course, this is Jay Dizzle, also known as Nettercat. All right, so look, I ain't got too much time to do this. We got the volume good. Liberation Minded Media. Of course, this is Jay Dizzle, also known. All right, so volume's good. So look, like I said, man, I've been moving around a lot. The grind don't stop. I know I was supposed to do this one a couple times. Had to reschedule, make some moves. Yada. But I do know a lot of people's been asking me, a few people have been asking, like, when am I going to do this? Been looking forward to this. I know this isn't the time that I expected to do it, but this is really the only time I have to do it. And I really don't have too much time. So let me just like try to, before we get started, set the stage. And then we're going to go into some video clips. I'm going to go into some information on what this topic is, which is Operation Chaos and the attack and infiltration of FBA progress and the conscious community. So along with going into what Operation Chaos is, it's it's not very well known, and there's not a lot of information on this, but I'm going to get into some, and I'm going to highlight the points that is relevant to the conversation. And two main people who I'm going to highlight in this is going to be Taharka Bey and Young Pharaoh. I'll get into a little bit of the relationship. I won't even call it relationship, but some of the me and Young Pharaoh's, what kind of conversations, or our history a little bit, if you can call it that. And I'm gonna be honest with y'all, I really don't want to keep talking about Taharka Bey because he's really irrelevant at this point. The only reason why I still do it is because people will ask me to, for one. And sometimes when I see some of the comments from some of the videos I've done in the past, I realize that it is actually reaching people who don't know better. Because most of the people who follow this dude, they're trolls, they're tethers that hate us, they're agents, they're bots. So I really don't care to speak to them or try to flip them. But I know some people are sincere and really trying to reach for, strive, and raise their consciousness. And when you really look at, and this goes into the Operation Chaos, when you really look at like some of these cultish followings of people, they don't care about logic. They don't care about truth. You can say the most ridiculous, absurd things and you'll still get a following based on these social media algorithms. And it even goes past social media, because if you look at like cults in the past, if you're aware of things like Jamestown and these other like mass suicide cults that have happened where people have followed people to commit mass suicide, you see the same type of audience. I was watching this, what's her YouTube channel? I forgot this sister's YouTube channel. Oh, Rate My Cult, where she'll like rate different cults. She'll rate different like, organizations that have done like crazy things. She's rated the one that who's that dude, Nature Boy. She's rated the documentary From Hebrew to Negroes. Should check that out. She's rated a lot of different like cultish organizations, and one of them that I watched was the one on Waco. If you guys are familiar, Waco, Texas, years ago, they had a standoff with the ATF, blah, blah, blah. A lot of people got killed. But the leader of that cult, David Koresh, which wasn't really his real name. His real name was like Elmer something. He took the name David from King David of the Bible, and Koresh because in some language or whatever it means Christ. This dude was a sex offender and a special ed student. He was retarded. They used to call him retarded in school. Yet he was able to convince people to live within his cultish environment. So my point is, like, these are some of the same characteristics that you will get from some of these cats who, because of algorithms now on social media, can still have people that will give them credence and will give them an ear, give them support, and follow them even to the death. He was a sex offender and he was a special ed student. The dude was slow. Kind of fitting the same prototype of a Taharka Bey and possibly even a young Pharaoh. But anyway, let's get into this. Let's go ahead and first let's get into this right here. Let me show you guys something. Like I said, my time is limited, but I do want to show you something. Actually, let's do this first. First, let's set the pace. Let me go ahead and just set the pace, set the energy for this video with this video. Can y'all see that? Make sure y'all can see that, yeah. Let's go ahead and set the tone real quick.
We all not gonna be together. This ain't no damn unity party with punks. This ain't no unity party with people who don't want the true liberation of black people. This ain't no unity party with betrayers and snitchers and hypocrites and weak-minded, weak-blooded, spineless black people. This ain't that kind of party. So you take your raggedy ass on home. But those who want liberation, those who want to see black people really free at last, you walk away from these punctified Negroes. Unless you unite the like-minded of us, whether we are Christians or Muslims or nationalists or agnostics or socialists, if we are like-minded on reparations and on justice for our people, we are brothers indeed. But a black face ain't gonna make you no brother today. Go ahead. We tired of these black-faced, white-hearted niggas. Go ahead, say that. Masquerading as though you love your people. See you.
Woo-hoo! Yeah. Listen, hey, okay, I'm ready now. I'm ready. That has to set the pace because you have to understand why we do this. You have to understand why we do this on the grassroots New Black Media. It's because we have to have a standard. We have to have understanding that, yes, we're not all going to be together. This ain't for everybody. We ain't inclusive. We ain't totally inclusive just because the color of your skin is the same. That ain't the move right now. That's detrimental right now. Because like I said before in the last video, why did kingdoms fall? Why did empires fall? It always fell first internally. Then with those from within that nation that would collaborate with outsiders from without that nation. So even right now, we have people that will masquerade like they're down with us. They'll look like us. They'll be put in positions as false leaders propped up by our own opposition. And even if it ain't our own opposition that props them up, if they're doing it on their own because they're just not on code or because they're just not in tune with the legitimate aspirations of our people, if they're just not on the same page, it's a wrap. We got to separate from them. Whether they be FBA, whether they be tethers, it don't even matter. If we can't sync and organize and unify under the cause of reparations and liberation, then we can't have a conversation and you must be exposed. Period. That's the litmus test. The litmus test ain't what religion you want to follow. That's irrelevant. I don't give a damn if you want to call yourself a left leaner or right winger that don't matter to me. The litmus test is reparations, liberation, and justice, period. You can have a different methodology to get there as long as you're adding to the pot. You don't have to be within an actual organization as long as you are willing to support those who are doing the work. It ain't even about the personality of the people. Those are way too superficial reasons for us to determine who and what we're going to support. This is why we say we go by the code, not the personality, not the person, not the organization. It's about the code. The code is to be codified and unified and to work progressively intangibly and lend support whatever way we can to reparations, liberation, justice. Period. Period. Whatever you can lend to that, whatever kind of support, whatever you can contribute to that is acceptable as long as that is what the mission is. That's the objective. For real. Now, let's continue. Let's get into what this is real quick. So this Operation Chaos is something that's it's hard to really get a lot of information on. All right. This is something that came up around. This is a CIA. It kind of like took up where the, once the counterintel got exposed, it went underground and it came up with this. Not that counterintelligence it stopped or ended. Hold on. I need some music behind me, man. Let's get this shit popping. Not that it ever ended, but it transformed. And then other organizations came up. One of them being Operation Chaos. Now, Operation Chaos, it was a pretty vague. It had a lot of different things that they claimed to be the objectives. But I just want to highlight a few of them that make sense to speak about, as it has to do with us and or the principles and goals in which we have. So this was a Central Intelligence Agency domestic espionage project. What does that mean? A domestic espionage means that they're spying on American citizens and organizations. The project targeted American citizens operating from 67 to 74, if you want to believe that. Established by President Lyndon B. Johnson. He's the one that took over after JFK was killed. He was a staunch white supremacist who was a great friend and brother, as he called himself, to J. Edgar Hoover, who was the director of the FBI, who had Fred Hampton killed, destroyed the Panthers, had X killed, had King killed, et cetera, et cetera. So that's just, how it started, right? Now, let's get down to, we can get to the background, but really want to get to hit a few things right here. So designed to infiltrate domestic, anti-war, and radical. So if you're anti-war or radical, Black Panthers, MOVE organization, any organization that was about justice for our people was considered radical. It was a radical idea for us to want to have justice. So it would have targeted almost any organization or individual that it deemed radical. And especially at that time, yes, it was radical to want to eat in the same environment and not get lynched. To want to have access to clean water instead of dusty water fountains. To want to have access to education. To be able to make a living for yourself. These were radical concepts in their eyes. For us just to be on equal footing was a radical idea. For us not to be subject to police brutality was a radical idea. So they targeted those who were into justice movements. Let's go with up. Let's keep going. Like I said, I ain't got that much time. All right, so here's some of the targets. And they say it's within the anti-war movement, but a lot of these organizations, even though they may have been anti-Vietnam War, because it disproportionately did send our people, including my father, overseas to fight for a war against people who've never enslaved us or who didn't oppress us. Because you can see number 2 on the list is the Black Panther Party, which they claim was a Marxist Leninist, meaning Lenin, and Black Power political organization founded by college students Bobby Seale and Huey P. Newton in October 1966 in Oakland, California. The party was active in the United States between 66 and 82 with chapters in many major American cities. Okay, so of course they're going to target the Black Panther Party. So just look at what I'm going to show you in a minute, or the people who I'm going to speak about in the overall theme of Black Panther Party, You could really say that that would be a lot of different organizations that were modeled after that today. Freedom fighting, fed the community, educated the community, did what we would call now social work, stood up against the police, knew the laws, knew their rights, didn't allow police to harm us without any, try to put an end to the things that go on to this day. Young Lords. Let's go into the Young Lords. Let's just see what they're saying about the Young Lords, also known as the Young Lords Organization or Young Lords Party. See, they use the word party because, of course, they were a lot of people, even if they're not FBA, what they did is they modeled this. This is actually a worldwide trend that happened around this time, even in Africa, even in parts of Asia, where they would model themselves after our freedom fighting. Our freedom fighting set trends globally against oppressors. This is why they knew they had to use military and espionage tactics to undermine us here, because we would influence the world as we still do today. So when they see us standing up, they stand up. They take pieces of our shit. So anyway, it was a Chicago-based street gang that became a civil and human rights organization, much like the Gangster Disciples and the Vice Lords, who ironically, Larry Hoover only got a few years for what they called murder of a teenage black kid in Chicago, but he got life when he started getting political, and that's when they sent him to federal prison. See, the gang banging on the streets wasn't the problem. The problem is when they see that you're able to make political moves and you're starting to get influence. And if you read the counterintelligence program files, you'll understand why. Don't have time for that right now. So that was just one of the other organizations that they targeted with that. Then we also got Project Mockingbird, all these other things. But anyway, so just with that understanding now, we bring it up to date. Like my last video, COINTELPRO then and now. Last video I did on this topic. It's then and then it's now. So then they did it the way they did it. Same goals, same common thread, same reasons, same objectives, just different methods now. So now we have the internet. We have people who operate in the same thread, the same to the letter, even targeting the same type of individuals and organizations, because a lot of those organizations don't exist now. But if you look at what their goals were and you update it and upgrade it to today's date, then you understand why some of these agents of chaos exist and what they are really looking to do and who they really work for. I don't care if they get a check or not, or if it's just the coon chip that's activated going berserk in their mind. I don't care if it's just because they're clout chasing. The effect is the same. Chaos, confusion, misinformation, counterintelligence, delegitimize, undermine, create confusion, demonize. The same strategies. Like I said, at this point, this dude is he's so pathetic. He's not even worth me speaking on, except for if I can educate or bring understanding to some people who really sincerely want it but don't have it. Because I understand people go through their own chambers when it comes to raising their consciousness, and I understand that because a lot of people we're starting to codify a lot. A lot of people are starting to come into the fold that could be useful and supportive, and we have to be able to determine who's with us and who ain't, because skin color ain't going to be enough to make that determination. It never was. Even now, more than ever, it's not. Anyway, so here's a little clip. So ironically, you know, after I've been saying for months now, me and others, that Parker Bay never speaks against police brutality or any white supremacy that comes against us. Now all of a sudden he's kind of pivoting to pretend he's doing that. But watch how he pivots right back to what his real mission is. Check this out.
Potter was convicted of 2 counts of manslaughter in the killing.
He's speaking of Kim Potter. I believe that was in Minnesota, when they killed the young brother. I want to say Deontay. Forgive me for forgetting his name. They killed the young brother after pulling him over for having a air freshener in his license plate or something like that, or on his rearview mirror. She shot him, said it was an accident. She didn't know. She thought she was reaching for the taser. Minneapolis turned up after that. She got convicted. Did some time. She's now coming back. She's looking horrible. She had a real rough time in there. If you watched Professor Black? No, the Black Authorities presentation on it, his broadcast. And it's a good thing because look, understand something. And this will this will help you understand why they're coming against the new black media so much, and why they're coming against those of us who are bringing light to certain things, because we're actually getting results. You remember there was a time where it don't matter how viciously the police killed our people, they was never even standing trial, let alone getting convicted and doing time. Now we're bringing things to the light, to the point. We're on the streets organizing to the point. The grassroots is strengthening to the point where now we are starting to get results. 16 months ain't enough time, but it's more time than she would have got 10 years ago. And we're seeing more and more, at least they're getting charged, they're getting tried, they're going to jail. Pat yourself on the back for that, if you support the movement. Because people like this really don't. But I'm gonna let them continue though.
Of 20-year-old Wright, an unarmed, quote-unquote, black man, during a 2021 traffic stop near Minnesota. Can you imagine getting pulled over for a traffic stop and someone just gonna blast you? Like you a traffic stop and somebody blast you?
So like I said, unprecedented for this dude's channel to even speak like he's pretending that he's condemning the police and sticking up for us. He's only really doing this because he's been called out on it so much. But he's gonna pivot to his true intentions in a minute.
Ain't that crazy? And at the end of the day, he was being pulled over for expired tags and for hanging an air freshener on his rearview mirror. Huh? This is what I'm talking about with all of this fake consciousness.
Here we go. Here we go. This train is never late coming from this coon. He is the conductor of the coon train. So now what he's going to do is he's going to take that situation and find a way to blame the conscious community, the new black media, and grassroots organizations. He did the same thing when that white boy shot up that supermarket in Buffalo. He did the same thing when them cops shot that brother 60 times. He did the same thing when Dylan Roof murdered our people in that church. He found a way to blame us.
All of this fake activism. Because in order to really affect change, you have to go where the issues are. And a lot of these issues are within the judicial system or in the policies there that allow these.
This nigga's babbling. He's special ed, retarded, short bus babbling at this point. Because a change was affected. That's why she went to prison. And as far as preventing these things, well, he's the one that was going against all the Panther organizations and all the other organizations that would be stronger and have the presence in our communities if they were supported better. But he's also being very disingenuous because a change has been affected. That's why there was some kind of justice for this brother. And there's about a dozen other police within the last 5 years that at least got charged. Like I told you, in Seattle, we got the first law changed that holds police accountable irregardless if they say they feared for their life, because we got the language changed in the law. Of course it wasn't mainstream news nationally, because that would have sparked a movement for other states to do the same thing and other organizations around the country to do the same thing. And we did that with grassroots. I was part of that movement. So he's making it seem like, oh, this is the problem with the conscious. No, this is why. This is progress made possible by the grassroots conscious community.
Things to happen. See, these things are allowed to happen because the policies are there. And no one is fighting the policies.
No, you're not fighting the policy. There was just a reparation movement in your backyard. You went to the one that Tariq Nasheed put on just to troll. You didn't go to the one that was just a couple weeks ago. You're nowhere in Baltimore doing anything on the social justice tip. But you get on YouTube, monetized, just to troll and undermine. Who do you work for? A sex offender, child abuser, woman beater, armed robber, breaking and enter, scammer, raising money for things you never fulfill. We'll see what goes on with this court case, because you raised a lot of money for this court case, and then you took your family to Disneyland and didn't even file the damn lawsuit while you were there. You did it afterwards from home, something you could have done from the get-go. But we're going to see how that court case goes. It's going to be interesting. I think his first court case is going to be coming up this month, and there's some very interesting developments in that, which I'm not going to disclose. It's going to be very interesting, because for this court case to really pursue, there's a good chance that those sealed files on what put him on the sex offense registry will have to come out. At the very least, what's going to happen is you're not going to be able to lie about what that Y means after registered and or lifetime sex offender. You're not going to be able to go to court and lie about that. It's going to be very interesting.
In this day and time, it's just good to do a Twitter page. It's just good to do a Twitter, what they call that, a Twitter space. This is why, when we talk about organizing and people say there is no leader, this is why this stuff happens like this. This is why this person can murder somebody and get 16 months and get out of there.
No. The reason why she even got the 16 months was only because of the grassroots efforts on the streets. It wouldn't even have made the mainstream if we didn't put pressure. So as he says these things, where's his resume? Since we need so much organizational leaders and the leaders aren't doing enough, what are you doing? Are you even, do you even have a call of action that you're giving to your audience when it comes to anything productive? No. You're making video after video after video after video about Tariq Nasheed. Post after post on Twitter about Tariq Nasheed. Now going after the whole new black media, which I told you he would do from the get-go. This is a sex offender, career criminal, grifter, scammer. No skin in the game. Every move he makes is consistent with counterintelligence, Operation Chaos, white supremacy operations. In fact, he even said himself, white supremacy ain't our problem. And then he turns around and says that we need to be organizing against white supremacy.
I mean, This is why this happened. When people are so cowardly and they say, well, there is no leader. Why? Because they kill all the leaders. Like, shut up. Shut up. The leader is only there to articulate the concern of the masses.
And we could argue about that. Of course, we have leaders. There is no leader. And the reason being is because when you have a centralized leader for a massive movement that is comprised of many grassroots organizations and individuals, then once that leader is compromised or neutralized, the movement falls. But when you follow a code or a guideline or a mutually agreed upon objective, then everyone can contribute. It's called decentralization. Similar to cryptocurrency, but we can get into that later. What that means is there's many people operating with the same objective. So if one gets neutralized, the movement keeps going. They want to centralize. This is why they want to call certain people and individuals leaders, because that way, if they can undermine that person, neutralize that person one way or another, the idea is now the movement dies off.
That's it. The leader is not the leader where he's a dictator.
And another reason why the one leader model fails in many cases is because leaders have flaws. People have flaws. This is why they wanted to neutralize MLK by saying things like, oh, well, he's cheating on his wife. Because they wanted to undermine his morality to get people to fall back from him. They always use these tactics with leaders. But if you follow a code, it don't matter if the people articulating who may have more influence than others. It doesn't matter if they are, if they have a personality that you don't agree with because they're assholes or they're arrogant or they're not perfect because maybe they have been dealing with more than just their wife or got smoking a blunt somewhere or whatever. We're going by what they said, the principles, what they stand on and taught. Not if we like that person or not as an individual. Being involved in activism, I have had to do work with people who I didn't like as individuals. But I had to respect the fact that I knew they were sincere in what they're doing, and that was the bond, and that's all we needed. It didn't matter. You go to work every day, you may not like your coworkers. Your boss might be a dickhead, but you have a job to get done and you're being compensated for it, so you see it through. Why can't you take that same approach when it comes to your own liberation and the legacy of your children? So there's one thing, like I said, man, I'm going a little bit too long. Let's go ahead and get to this other little thing, and then we're gonna get to the young Pharaoh stuff. I'm not even in the comments, y'all. Hopefully, shout out to y'all if you're watching it live, if you're watching it later. I'm gonna try to stay focused on this. So here's another little show that he did with some dusty ass old nigga, nameless. He shall probably remain. And this one I want to highlight just so I can show you just some of the absurd things that people say, and I know they don't believe it themselves, and it doesn't make sense, but it doesn't matter. There's always going to be an audience for any kind of fuckery on the internet. And this is why I don't get into the major big conspiracy theories and this is going on. We got shapeshifters and reptilians and clones and all that shit. I'm gonna tell you why. Because for one, if you can't prove it, You can't move on it. And that really should have been number 2, because number 1 is, look, if you have all of these crazy theories of things you think are going on that's just terrible and detrimental to us, but you don't have a plan to combat it, what's the point? At this point, all you're doing is conspiracy babbling. Like, if you think there's reptilian shapeshifters and people on spaceships ready to invade that really control the governments, well, then what is your plan to combat that? Because if you don't have one, what you're saying is, hey, we give up. There's tangible, practical things that need to be done. But you don't get those things done when you're chasing conspiracy theories that you don't even plan on trying to counter or resist against. But anyway, let's go.
Yeah. So let's move past that. So people say this is where I want to show that he's not allowed in the UK. And like I say, this is for my.
Oh yeah. So right here, of course, he's talking about Tariq Nasheed. As you know, after he dropped that buck breaking documentary, he was banned from going to the UK. Well, here's his theory of why Tariq Nasheed was banned from going to the UK. Then we'll go into if it makes sense.
My FBI, CIA, FBA show I got coming up where he's not allowed in the UK. And again, I keep telling people he never follows up. He never follows up to say what actually happened. He always say the FBI came to talk to me. He never follow up and come back and say what actually happened. What did they talk about? He always say the police came to my house and I think it was the white supremacists.
Well, that's not even true. And as much as you watch Tariq Nasheed, you know it's not true. You know that he said plenty of times why he was banned from the UK, what type of questions and what times that some of these FBIs and police have came to him, what kind of questions they asked him, inquired about in regards to people like Micah Johnson or whatnot who followed Tariq Nasheed. And after he did what he did, salute to him. They went there saying, hey, he followed me. He followed you. Did you ever have any conversations with stuff like that? So he's disingenuous. He's a liar. But anyway, here, let's listen to his theory of why he says Tariq Nasheed is banned from the UK.
He never follows up on that. He said he talked to the FBI when he was riding with his mother. He never followed up on that. He said when he was 19, the FBI came to his house at a party. This is the person I ever met in my life, has more communication with the FBI than he even had with his own biological father or mother. He has more.
How would you know that? How would you know how much communication he has with his parents? That's just a weird thing to say, but you could say anything you want when you have a bunch of short bus riding special ed students that are in your chat that you don't respect the intelligence of. Like these points, they don't even make sense. They're not even logical. They're not even applicable or even relevant to anything. It's just he's throwing as much dirt and mud hoping something sticks. And this is why I made the video, you have to know who's who, because it doesn't just apply to these talking heads that have been used against us. It also applies to those who follow them. You have to know who these cats are because likely some of them live around you. You got to know who these cats are who will support someone who is clearly a sex offender because they live around you. And to a degree, they're condoning it.
Communication with the FBI than his real family. For real. And it's out of his own mouth. Now, in this video that I'm about to show is that when he was about to go to the UK, for some strange reason, they would not let him in the UK. Listen to this.
The US or UK? Okay. Alright, cool, super. Bye-bye. So the UK government anyway.
The UK government did not my entry. Wow. They didn't give a reason why. They just said.
That's all she gave me right now.
Okay. All right, but yeah.
What I call the
They're not advising us.
the UK government, and then they just gave us this.
Okay.
Not us.
We're at LAX right now, working out our travel plans. I just found out we're on our way to the UK. I am banned from going to the UK. They are not letting me into the UK to show hidden colors. They have banned me from coming into the UK. They sent the airport, the UK government sent the airport this letter to not allow me on a flight to the UK. I cannot go to the UK. And they told me, the government said that one of the reasons is that I'm not conducive to the public good of the UK.
How can he say, you see how he just double talked? He said he just found out that he could not go to the UK. By the end of this couple second video, he says they told him, this is how this informant worked. Listen to this informant. Listen to this informant. Listen
But I
close.
called
They're not advising us.
the UK government, and then they just gave us this.
Okay.
Listen.
We're at LAX right now, working out our travel plans.
Now, if you paid attention, those were two different clips. So this clip was after the first clip. So, he's slow, but he's also very deceptive, is what you have to understand when you're speaking of Tarka Bay. All right. But let's get to, I think he's going to say pretty soon what his opinion or belief of why he's banned is. Check it out.
Found out we're on our way to the UK.
I just found out. By the end of the video, this is how this informant worked. This man is the police. By the end of the video, he says that they told.
Now, he really believes he's the police, and the police is banned from the UK? For real? He believes he's the police, but he's suing him for defamation, and he doesn't think that the police can have enough pull in his own city to get the case thrown out or to have him lose the case? He believes he's the police, but Bucci Bear, when was served a no contact order, won the case against him, but he's the police. It doesn't make sense. But what he's going to say in a minute really doesn't make sense.
Told him that, I'm telling you, man, y'all ain't never seen we having the ability to expose these informants in real time.
Speaking of informants, police, and snitches, as brought out on Liberation Minded Media and Onslaught Multimedia 2 and on Exposing Tarka Bay, Tarka Bay snitched on his co-defendants in 1991 when he got caught for the robberies of robbing the pizza shop and tying up little Asian ladies and taking $3,000 that they had to split amongst like 5 people. He snitched on his co-defendants to get a lower case. That's why he only did a fraction of the time that he was sentenced to, because he snitched. He cooperated. He gave up the information on his co-defendants. So this isn't just a sex offender. This just isn't a woman beater and a child abuser and a grifter and a career criminal. He's also a snitch, certified, documented on paper. I have the papers. I have the papers. Dude rolled on his co-defendants to get a lighter sentence. Yeah, hit me up if you want those papers. I got them papers. We got the paperwork. But you're saying that somebody who doesn't even have a criminal record. See, the way these snitches and agents work is typically an agency has to have some type of leverage on you. Something they can hold over your head. We've seen this in Judas and the Black Messiah, which was based on a true story. William O'Neill, the government operative who set up Fred Hampton to be murdered after infiltrating the Black Panther Party. How'd they have leverage on him? Because the feds caught him on a charge that was going to send him to prison, and they gave him the ultimatum to infiltrate the Panthers or you could do 20 years. So who's more likely to be an operative, snitch, agent someone without a criminal record that independently has enough money to operate without having to depend on agencies, or someone who lives in their mama's basement and is a career criminal, including a sex offender who actually has already participated in giving information to the police by way of snitching on this co-defendant. This is called projection.
Exposing this informant in real time. He's making it up as he's going along. This is them people. This is the same people.
Who's more likely to be a government operative? Someone who's grassroots organizing, educating, inspiring, and making progress on things like reparations and social justice, archiving our history, preserving our history, or someone who only uses their platform to undermine grassroots organizations under the guise of Moorish World TV. You know, disrespect to the Moors that are real, that are stand up, but we know disproportionately Moors have been used against us for hundreds of years. Let's just keep it a buck. From the Caribbean to the US to all over Africa, Moors, people wearing fezzes, have been used against ourselves, against people who look like them for hundreds of years. This is documented. This is undeniable facts. When they talk about blacks captured other blacks, a lot of times they're talking about those Moors. When you want to talk about what happened in Congo, those were Moors. You want to talk about, I hope you guys know the history of Congo. 60 million Congolese murdered when Belgium colonized it. Well, most of it was at the hands of black people who wore fezzes. Ethiopia was attacked by Mussolini. World War II-ish. Hitler supported it. Well, who were they fighting against? Who were they fighting with? Who did they use as foot soldiers against Ethiopians? It was coincidentally niggas with fezzes. A lot of the plantations, a lot of the slave trade in West Africa, these were fezzes or turban wearing niggas that praised Allah. The Caribbean, same thing. Let's keep it a buck. Even in the history of America, when have you ever seen fez heads in any of our movements since the beginning? Never. So let's keep it a buck. When did he even start Moorish World TV? A week after catching a case that should have sent him back to prison. Coincidence?
That infiltrated to get next to Malcolm X. This is the same people that got next to Martin. This is the same people that got next to all of our greats and was able to sabotage them. This is the same people, but now they don't go and get next to the greats. They create the greats for you.
Or they get on the internet and push a button and make up shit to stay out of prison. All you have to do is just look at tangible results and progress. Who's a part of that and who's not? Who's against that? Who takes more time and all their time to undermine those who are getting things done and fighting white supremacy, and who says white supremacy isn't a problem? Sometimes it ain't that complicated. It's pretty simple. It is what it is. It's right in front of your face.
They create the greats for you. They created this man for y'all to believe in. Let me do it one more time, Blizz. Work with me, Blizz. One more time.
We're at LAX right now, working out our travel plans. I just found out.
In the video, he said they say I'm not gonna do. Who? Where was we at? Cause the video ain't stopped. You ain't pick up no phone. You ain't did nothing.
UK. They are not letting me into the UK to show hidden colors.
Is something going on that he is in operation with to sabotage? Whether it's the reparations, whether it's to just keep people running in. Can you see that, Blaze?
I see it. I see it. I see
There it is.
I've never seen nothing official in that typeset ever. Come on, yo. Come on, yo.
What I'm trying to share with everybody, family, that there is something going on that he is in operation with to sabotage. Whether it's the reparations, whether it's to just keep people running in circles, chasing their tail. He's been doing this since the time he was Cosmo Flex, acting as if he was a rapper. And that was over 30,
The nerds are talking about acting like being a rapper. Right?
40 years ago. Nothing has changed. The only thing changed that we have been benefited by the internet to be able to compare things in real time.
Real time. Right.
That's
real
it.
Time. Real time. My thing is this, and again, you know, sometimes I hate coming off, right, like a broken record, but if you control the mind, the thought process of a people, you can annihilate them. We seen it with Jim Jones and the Kool-Aid. We seen it with them people with the Nike sneakers. We seen it with the branch. If you can get in people's heads, you can annihilate them. This is why these people are so dangerous. Because again, we are not in the time and space to have people who are really genuinely ready for struggle, ready to get.
So one thing you got to realize when you're dealing with the likes of Tarek Bays and other operatives is they have nothing but criticism, but they have no actual ideas or organization of their own to lend to the movement. Because that's not their job. Their job isn't to really get shit done. It's to stop shit from getting done. So they'll undermine those. They'll throw out a bunch of blanket statements, a bunch of vague statements, a bunch of hypotheticals or theories. They'll undermine real things that have happened or act like they didn't happen. They never highlight our victories, but they never have their own solutions that they're willing to mobilize behind. Never. Because if you can say all this, look, my thing is contribution is greater than criticism. It's okay to criticize, but if you're not contributing, you don't really have the right to criticize. Until you're willing to get on that field and play ball, you shouldn't be talking about who can't play. That's like a fat, sloppy nigga sitting at home eating potato chips talking about LeBron Johnson is garbage. He can't ball. Nigga, you didn't even play high school ball. You're not even trying out for the team. You got no resume. See, it's one thing when somebody else that's in the movement actually doing things can critique and criticize. That's why even though Malcolm X may have had criticism for MLK, he had respect for him because he understood that he was sincere, even if he didn't agree. That's why they were able to hash out their differences in the end. Because when you see someone doing the work and you understand what it takes to do the work, you have to salute them and have respect for them, even if you don't like them, even if you don't agree with them. But cats like this don't have nothing on their resume. All they're doing is undermining. They don't have anything that they're going to contribute. They're not going to say, hey, I don't agree with this. I don't like this person, but here's what we could do. Organize behind that. They're not going to do that. He's trying to sue Tariq just to chase a bag, just to clout chase. This is a nigga who don't even have enough balls, enough manhood, enough masculinity in his bones, enough self-respect to at least put up a fight after getting slapped. Who the fuck's listening to this nigga?
Get our true placement ready to dispel all. Listen, come on. We're in a space now where we don't listen to nothing these Euros got to say. They can't dupe us. So how do you allow a clown like him or any other these other clowns that's been coming through with these shiny lips and all that? How can you continuously allow them to dupe you when there is no end goal? There is no true process. There's no end goal. There's no mission statement. There's nothing at the end of it. It needs to be done. And
knocked off, even Jesse. It's after the fact, but we are doing it in real time, and our people are not used to that. So now it begins. We
your own people. Would like to know.
By the end of the video, this is how this informant worked. This man is the CIA, and we're going to examine the letter. I got the letter. I got a copy of the letter. We're going to examine that. That's a tacky letter, one page with no salutation.
Right. If you
Shit, my bad. I was on mute. So like I said, I'm trying to find a spot where he was saying that that the reason Tariq Nasheed can't get into the UK is because he was spying on the UK on behalf of the CIA and the United States government, which makes absolutely no sense. Like, for real. Like, he doesn't really believe that. You can watch the video, find it yourself. I don't have time. I got to move on to the next topic before I end this. But yeah, so basically what he said at some point, and I thought it was around the time we was listening to, he said that Tariq Nasheed, he believes that the reason why Tariq Nasheed can't get into the UK is because he was spying on the UK for the US government. If he really believes that, how would he think he would have a chance in successfully suing him for defamation if he is connected, if Tariq Nasheed is connected to the CIA? How do you think that you would beat him in a defamation case? What kind of information does the US need from the UK that they're going to send Tariq Nasheed as a spy? It doesn't make sense. He doesn't believe it himself. He's throwing any type of egregious accusations that he can out there just to undermine and make people move away from him. Because why? We have seen great progress. We have seen a great awakening in part of some of the work that Tariq Nasheed and others in the new black media have been doing, including you and me. Because it's a collective effort. So we're getting progress. Of course, there's going to be resistance. And they'll throw anything out there because they know somebody out there will believe it. You think about all the dumb shit that I see when I'm on Facebook Reels or YouTube Shorts? Yes. TikTok? Yes. People believe the most ridiculous, dumb shit that's totally irrelevant. Even if it was true, what is the plan to combat it? So they know there's an audience for this craziness. I think even Hitler, or maybe it was Goebbels, who said, you tell a big enough lie, people will believe it if you repeat it enough times. So I don't have time to look at that to look for that particular clip where he said that, but it's on here. It's on this video if you dare watch it.
And
Let me just see one more time if I can find
who
it.
have become.
You follow what I'm saying? There's always a body. There's always some money. But it's always after the fact. Many, you know what I'm saying? If our elders were taken care of.
Okay, I can't find it. So let's go ahead and end it with some Young Pharaoh. Because this is like the mindlessness, the crazy, chaotic, Operation Chaos type of shit that we're seeing going on in what we call the conscious community. So just a little background. So Young Pharaoh, when Young Pharaoh first came out, I actually liked him. He tried to get on my radio show a couple of times, and I was like, nah, I'm cool. Not because I didn't like him at the time, just because I just wasn't interested. It was just the same, the Bible ain't real type of shit, which is cool, but man, I don't got 2 hours to dedicate that to a program. But I did like him because he was young, and I figured like, yo, at the time I was doing a lot of mentoring of the youth. So I liked the idea that somebody who'd been to prison now is getting out, now he's being on some intellectual shit, because that's what I was trying to have the youth gravitate to, being intellectual and smart is cool. So I liked them in that respect. I just didn't really dig all the black woman's God and the Bible, this and that. Like, even if I agreed with that, which I do agree with a lot of things that he said about the Bible, but it just it was at that time for me played out. So I didn't want to have him on the show. Then somebody else came to me like, hey, whatever. They wanted to expose him. I didn't do that on that show. It wasn't about that. I didn't do that on that broadcast. So I didn't allow that. But the point is, he started going to the left at some point. He started trolling. He started undermining. And I got a video that I did on him and SETI, which got pretty popular on my other channel. Because I didn't really like the whole attacking of the FOI or the NOI and Elijah Muhammad and Malcolm X and all that. But anyway, so this dude has been his mind's gone at this point. So this was a debate that he had with Jabari on if the metanetter has been deciphered. Now, before we get to that, so there was supposed to be a debate years ago. Sonetta, man, I used to love those debates Sonetta had on his program. To me, they were epic. They were dope. They're entertaining and educational. They're edutainment. So they were going to have a debate. And I remember around that time, a lot of the people from the HOK was calling into my show to advertise and promote it. I had Unc of the Amon-Ra Squad, who Young Pharaoh was going to be debating. It was going to be Young Pharaoh and SETI versus the Amon-Ra Squad if the metanetter has been deciphered. Here's what happened. Right before, like a couple nights before the debate, Unc of the Amon-Ra Squad, I want to say it was on Sonetta TV, or maybe it was on Talk with the Titans and Sonetta was on there. And Young Pharaoh were just having what they call a warm-up. Like, they just have a little bit of back and forth before the debate to kind of build the hype for the debate. And Young Pharaoh kept on saying the metanetter hasn't been translated. And Unc of the Amon-Ra Squad kept saying, hey, time out. Yo, Sonetta, he does know that the debate has the metanetter been deciphered, not translated, right? And Saw didn't want to blow up the spot, so he was like, oh, don't worry about it. He got this. But Unc was persistent in making sure that he understood that it was, has the metadata been deciphered, not translated, because there's a difference. So then young Pharaoh's like, yeah, whatever, I got it. Now remember, at this time, they were trying to get a hold of Seti to bring him on. Seti didn't want to come on because he understood what was going on. So he didn't want to come on. He reluctantly came on later on, but he didn't want to. Because the fact is, there's a big difference between if the metadata has been deciphered or translated. It's a big difference. So therefore, if the debate was, has it been translated, there's a good chance that Seti and young Pharaoh could have won that debate. But that wasn't what the debate was. The debate was, has it been deciphered? And there is no way that they could have won that debate. So they pulled out last minute, didn't do the debate. I believe it was Seti's call, because Seti's smart enough to understand the difference and understand that he chose the debate, and one word in the title changed the whole scope of if that debate was winnable. I only say that because he's going to reference that debate here, but I want to just give you the background on that, because no, he ducked that debate just like he ducked the debate with Polite, which he's going to also imply that Polite ran from him. That's not the case. This dude trolled Polite for years. Polite didn't want to give him a debate because Polite said, no, you've been trolling and disrespecting me for 3 years now. If I give you a debate, that's going to set precedents that people could just talk shit about me and expect me to give them a debate. Reluctantly, he decided, okay, fine, I'll give you a debate. So what happened is they had a conversation. Like, this is like what they would do back then. They'd have some conversations for everybody to see them going back and forth, build up the hype until the debate. And I remember watching this because, I was into those debates, and I would always have a lot of these people on my program to promote these kind of things on Black I Stand Radio. And long story short, Polite washed him. Just washed him. So bad that Pharaoh pulled out of wanting to do the debate. He pulled out. And then Polite trolled him after that. So he backed out of the debate that he begged for like 3 years. And then, of course, that video came out where young Pharaoh was obviously high as shit, looking out the window at traffic, talking about those are UFOs. He was obviously high as shit. But anyway, I just say that because when you hear some of the stuff he's saying, I want you to understand his cap.
On this subject, and I sent him my premise, and after seeing my premise, he backed out of the debate. So not only did I stop Polite in his brakes on this topic.
So he's saying Polite hit his brakes. That's not what happened. The videos are still up. If you go to, I forgot the channel that Polite has it on. Maybe I Am Brother Play something. The videos are still up of him and Polite having a discussion, and Polite dog walked dude to the point where he left the show and then he canceled the debate. So he's clearly capping.
I made a Harvard University level scholar run away from me. So I say that to say this. All I'm gonna say is this: when it comes to what they call Egyptology, the Egyptian hieroglyphics, aka meta-metric system, has not been successfully translated.
Notice he said translated, not deciphered. There's a difference. Just to give you just a quick understanding of what decipher is. It's like decipher is like what the letters correspond to. So like meaning like if somebody found a text, if you sent a text and it said, "Yo, dog, this cat was in my face beefing the other night," and then 1,000 years from now, somebody who didn't speak our language found it and they were able to decode what those letters mean, they'd be able to read, "Yo, dog, this cat was in my face beefing the other night." But they wouldn't know what it meant. They would be able to read what it says, what those letters mean, what those words mean, but they wouldn't understand that when we say, "Yo, dog, this cat was in my face beefing," when we say, "Yo, dog," we're not talking about a literal dog, because they'd be like, "Oh, a dog? Yo, a cat? He's talking to a dog saying a cat was in his face beefing? What is?" They wouldn't know what it means because they don't have enough of the cultural background and understanding to know that those, what was meant by that statement. That's decipherment. You could read what it says or know what it says or know the words, but you don't know the context of what is actually being said. That would be more towards translation. So I'm just giving you that.
to become a speakable language in that aspect. It's not, and I have proven my premise with the difference between characters and ideograms or text or grammatical text, etc. So, you know, I have my premise is like Moses' staff. I have already parted the sea. So, you know, if Polite can't do it, if Harvard can't do it, you can't do it.
Hey, Jabari, where'd you graduate from? Harvard, right?
I want to be.
Now, keep in mind that Jabari is a 2-time master. He holds 2 masters. He's working on doctorates. He's a professor. He's given several tours to Egypt. He's literally a scholar.
Clear that saying that someone's a Harvard professor doesn't impress me because I'm a Cornell educated.
Cornell, okay.
And I'd like to believe that Cornell is a stronger institution because it has an Africana Studies and Research Center.
You think you harder than Polite?
And so I want you to
hold up, let him go.
Another caveat is, you know, that tattoo that Pharaoh wears on his eye, of the Eye of Haru? He wears that because Brother Polite, before he did debates, he used to paint that on his eye. This dude wants to be Polite bad. He never debated Polite because he pulled out of the debate, but now he's acting like he defeated Polite, which is totally nonsense. And I'm not, you know, whatever you want to feel about Polite because of what he's going through, that's one thing. What I'm saying is, when it came to debates, Polite was a beast, and this dude ran. That's what I'm saying. But he's gonna cap like it was the other way around.
Pharaoh.
Let me introduce myself because you don't seem to know who I am. I'm a student of Dr. Yosef Ben Yakinen. I'm a student of Dr. John Henry Clark. They taught me at Cornell University. I'm a student of Dr. James Turner. I must say his name, even though some of you aren't familiar with Dr. James Turner. More than anyone, he was the person that assisted me with understanding how to make logical arguments, how to use sources, how to read scholarly work. That is Dr. James Turner. He just made his transition. He's an ancestor as of last year. So definitely, those are folks that have that are important to me. In addition to that, you should know I have 2 master's degrees, one in divinity, one in human service administration. I'm currently completing a 3rd master's degree in the history of Africa and the African diaspora. I'm also simultaneously completing a doctorate that is a divinity degree. And you should also know I'm an author. I wrote the book, 7 Little White Lies, The Conspiracy to Destroy the Black Self-Image. And I have been, I have taken over 4,000 people to Kemet. I do annual study tours to Kemet. And I don't think anyone that you've debated, whether they're from Harvard or Cornell or anywhere, has spent as much time studying on the ground as I have. So, but I want to say to you that very quickly, even before I even open my mouth, dear brother, I hear you shifting the goalpost. And I think the audience might have heard it as well. You are known, and don't.
Let me just say this real quick. No, so he just read off his credentials. He's very well studied. He's a scholar, holds degrees, and people can give as much credence as they want or not to that. But one thing you can't say is that the person isn't studied. So you can debate if, you know, degrees really make you smarter, or, you know, if it's really just being able to retain and regurgitate information. Well, that's cool. Some degrees don't really require critical thinking. Some. But you still have to respect someone who put that much time. I have a degree. And I don't say that to like say that makes me smart. I just say it to say I know what it takes to have to write essays every week and read scores of books every month. And you know what I'm saying, to really have to study material and be introduced to things and to keep the discipline and the self-motivation to see it through. It's a lot. So there is something to be said about it, even if you don't want to give it the credence and respect due. I understand that Malcolm X didn't have a degree and he was able to defeat Harvard scholars. I understand that, but that was Malcolm X. I understand that Elijah Muhammad, they say, had a 3rd grade education. I understand that, but that was Elijah Muhammad. I'm saying that there is something to be said about somebody who can pursue and complete scholarly endeavors like degrees, especially on a master level. That means that he studied, that means he's been taught and he knows what he knows in those fields. That's what I'm saying.
Will make me have to put up a flyer, because I will. You are known for saying that Medunetter has not been deciphered. And tonight you didn't say that. I'm sure that there are people that heard that. He said that Medunetter has not been translated into a speakable language. That's not the same thing. So let me say that I would love for you to know that while you don't think Jabari Osaze will defeat you on this topic, you just defeated yourself on the topic. Young Pharaoh of May 3rd, 2023 just defeated Young Pharaoh of last year at the same time. So I want you to recognize that I heard that you did that, and that's slick. But if the premise that you just stated today is your real premise, you and I won't even disagree. There's no need for us to debate. You and I will not disagree. But I want you to acknowledge that what you are saying tonight is not what you have said. So that's the difference. I think that you have a relationship with my elder, Baba Heru Ankara Samad Sepata. He has spoken highly of you to me. I have not studied or listened to all of the things that you've done, but I've paid attention to some of it. I'll see it as it comes through, and I'm aware of it. Perhaps what I'm hearing tonight is the evolution of your argument. And if that is what I am hearing, then you and I could go ahead and agree. But, the thing that people are disagreeing with you on, if I can just show this really quickly, Sonnetter, if you could put it up, is this. This flyer says the Medunetter has not been deciphered. And so the first thing that I would ask you is, do you recognize that
That's the original debate I was talking about before. Wow, that was 2016. Wow. Yeah, that's the original debate. It was supposed to be if the Medunetter has been deciphered. Like I said before that debate, he kept on using the word translated. And that's why Unc of the Amara Squad was like, hey, yo, Sa, make sure he understands that has it been deciphered, not translated. Which, in my opinion, is why Seti very wisely decided to pull away from that debate, because he understood he couldn't possibly win the debate on if it's been deciphered. He had a chance to win it if it's been translated. Because if it ain't been deciphered, what the hell does Seti mean? If it hasn't been deciphered. What does Adam Ra, Atum, whatever, but the other name that Pharaoh uses, mean? If it hasn't been deciphered. So that's why they pulled out that debate. Then they pulled out the debate, and then they started doing a bunch of videos afterwards saying it hasn't been translated. So that's why Jabari is bringing up the fact that he just used the word translated, but translated ain't what the debate was about, and that's not what this conversation's about.
You said you're making a different argument tonight than the one that you've made in the past. That's the first thing I would ask you. Or is this the argument you're making? The Medunetter has not been deciphered.
But that ain't even the real reason that I'm doing this right here. The real reason I'm doing this is just to show you some of the crazy stuff that he's gonna say. That you just have to understand. We're talking about chaos. We're talking about deception. We're talking about people being put in positions or putting themselves in positions, or influential people who are just lost their fucking mind, and it makes no sense. Operation Chaos, creating chaos, misinformation, counterintelligence. And I've been said that I believe that Pharaoh has been on some oppie shit for the past few years. From the things that he's been saying to undermine a lot of our organizations and a lot of the crazy QAnon shit. And I think a lot of it has to do with drugs, but you'll see for yourself in a minute.
That's the question. You can go ahead, brother.
I don't want to say this. I'm a little high right now. I'm not gonna lie. I'm a little high. But I want to say this, though.
Right. So he starts off saying, I'm a little high right now. So yeah, he's high. He's out of his mind. This is the same dude who said that people drug him. That's why he was going crazy the last couple of years. But he is on a lot of drugs. Now check out what he is going to make. Check out these claims he's about to make in a minute, though. Ridiculous.
before I answer your question, you gave your professions or your credential list.
Make sure y'all like this.
You know, when sometimes when people give their credentials, or you say this, that, and the third, it means nothing. I just want to say, I want to remind you that your credentials are nowhere and will never ever be anywhere on the level of mine.
Make sure y'all like. Make sure y'all like this. He just told a double master holder that his credentials will never be close to his, and then he's about to list what his credentials are. Check this out.
So I felt like, I'm the one that has done multiple interviews with the CIA. I'm the one
that's some good stuff you was smoking, brother.
So he said he's done multiple interviews with the CIA.
Some good stuff.
I'm the one. Wait a minute. It's not about smoking. It's about right here. Wait a minute. Because I let you talk. Let me talk. I got a shout out from the CIA right here, August 12, 2020.
From the CIA?
Yeah. Then I did a live stream with him.
Wait, the Governmental Institute, the CIA?
Wait. Then I did a live stream with an ex-CIA agent, September 23rd, 2020. Then I did another live stream with him. Wait, I'm not done. Then I was number 1 on the App Store, April 30th, 2021. You know what I'm saying? I'm the one that caught Joe Biden and them cheating during the election. I did it with 22,810 people watching live, millions of views. Wait a minute. Then I caught him.
He just claimed that he's the one who caught Joe Biden cheating on the elections. No, I don't care what your politics is, but that has never been proven that there was cheating on the election in the first place. But he's the one that caught him, is what he's saying. But it gets even more interesting.
Hillary Clinton and them during the George Floyd riots. I did 1 million views in 3 days again. I made $1 million, $1.4 million alone in 2020. I'm the one that got the United States government, helped them get found guilty of crimes against humanity in 2021. I'm the one that caught all of the human traffickers in the world.
He said he caught all the human traffickers in the world. Not to mention, on another live stream, he said that he has killed over 50 aliens because he has interactions with aliens all the time, and he's killed over 50 of them. Bodied them, is what he said. Which was actually a point that because he was been speaking this alien abduction shit for years, and that's one of the things that he got mad at Polite, because Polite was asking him simple questions. Okay, so if you're being abducted by these aliens, can you ask them for some help for our liberation? Can you ask them for some technology, some strategies? Can you have them intervene? Can you do anything like that? And he was offended by that, and that's partly why he left the live stream and then canceled the debate.
I'm the one that proved that goddamn Pizzagate was actually real and caught Hillary Clinton lying about the basement in the bottom of Common Ping Pong and helped find the white man that shot it up actually be found innocent. I'm the one that figured out. I was on CNN. I got canceled. I was supposed to meet Trump. I got canceled from CPAC. I was on USA Today. You know what I'm saying? I was on Jimmy Kimmel, Stephen Colbert. You know what I'm saying? I have and the list goes on. My music image, the list goes on. I'm undefeated in Muay Thai.
That's a lie. Undefeated in shit when it comes to fighting, because even on his own channel years ago that he put up, the fights that he put up, he actually lost. Later on, he's going to say he's the number 1 Muay Thai kick. He's the hardest kicker in the world. He's going to say all kind of crazy shit. But the point is, like, it's not about like, oh, what I feel about Young Pharaoh. What I'm saying is cats like this that say the most ridiculous, crazy shit are being put in position or putting themselves in position to have great influence, and there's an audience for it. And it's chaotic and it's anti-progressive to what we're trying to do as intellectuals and fighters of liberation and justice for our people, to have people like this who will claim that he's the number 1 black liberator in the world. Operation Chaos. You have people like Tariq Bey claiming that they're about the liberation, doing everything but organizing for such things as reparations and justice. And you know what I'm saying? You got somebody who's claiming that they caught every sex offender in the world. That's not even possible. This is why we have to be able to distinguish certain things and really expose certain things and focus our concentration and resources and efforts towards real shit and real organizations and individuals that we could support to reach the goals we're trying to reach. This is the danger of social media, which is being used as a new counterintelligence and distraction towards what our real goal should actually be.
So, you know what I'm saying? I stopped COVID.
He's telling a scholar that because he has this pamphlet that he created himself with a bunch of cap in it, that his credentials are greater than an actual scholar who teaches actual real information in history. But this is the mentality of these cats that have been detrimental to our communities. That's the real point. They've been detrimental to society in general. This is why you see some of these different cult leaders that are able to do things like talk people into mass suicides after giving them all their money. Give me all of your money, all your resources, sign your house and all your wealth to me. Then we're going to do a massive suicide. Psych. Yeah.
COVID-19. I'm the one that stopped COVID. I'm the one that
Now he's saying he stopped COVID. A friend of mine's mom just caught COVID the other day. He stopped COVID though.
Whatchamacallit, stopped the lockdown all around the world and figured
he stopped the lockdown all around the world.
And let everybody and let it be known to the public that it was a bioterroristic weapon. So I felt like shit, your credentials is never longer than mine, and nobody you around credentials could never be longer than mine. I just want to say that. And the list goes on of things I could accomplish. And with that being said, me getting that out, I lost my train of thought of what I wanted to.
I know, I get it. Lost your train of thought. You did the whatchamacallit. You're high as shit. I get it. I'm just saying. I'm gonna end this because I do got bags to chase. I got things to do. I just want to get this one off right now since I had the time. But I'm just saying, like this is it all goes to what I was saying before with what we're calling Operation Chaos. Like shit is real. This is what we have to understand. Shit's real out here. We really do have nutso crazy psychos, sex offenders, career criminals, snitches, bitches, weirdos making these claims that are clearly untrue, but are still able to maintain some type of an audience. Whether it's a fabricated audience or an audience of short bus riders, it almost doesn't matter. But the point is, it's counterproductive to what we're trying to do. While we have real people on the grassroots doing real things, this is part of the bullshit that we have to cut through and be able to at least recognize. Now, something like that should be easy to recognize, but sometimes it's not as easy to recognize. When they put these Mark Lamont Hills and some of these people, these Justin Pearsons and these cats who act like they're down with us, sometimes that's a little bit harder to see through. But all we have to do is look at the progress. Now I'm going to end this. Let me see. We got some people up in the thing. Yeah, I do got to end this, y'all. Shout out to Iron Will. Dude got a Kinko's reward card and went crazy. Hold up. And that's a fact. Because you know what I'm saying? You could like, and that's the thing though. You can like create, I remember like when this technology was first shifting and when like I first started doing business when I was young. And I realized that you could do certain things like make business cards, and pass yourself off. Where's that? and pass yourself off as because I was on some bullshit when I was younger. When I realized I could do that, and I didn't really have to have a business license to really like do certain things, like start my mobile, what was it, a mobile detailing business. That wasn't shenanigans. But I realized, hey, as long as I got a business card, I got an actual van that I'm using to go around to detail these cars, and I got a clientele base. There wasn't nobody asking like, hey, for your business license and stuff like that. When I realized I can make business cards, I can go into different stores and, blah, and get checks for real services I was doing. When I realized that, some of these things you could also take it to a next level. Yeah, you could do that. So anybody can go to Kinko's and print out some shit and make a, presentation of these great things that they done and type it up. That's why these memes are very deceptive, because people will believe what's in a meme as long as you make it look cool and you make it so conspiratorial and you might put some dates and numbers in there. People will believe it. I know, because I've done certain tests before my Facebook got shadow banned, where I would share certain memes just to see what people would think. Memes about Hitler saying that blacks are the real Jews and that's why he's going to war with the world. When if you understood the history of, and people would share like, yeah, see, Hitler knew, and oh gosh, yeah, Hitler, he's down with us. No, he never said that. And if you understand the history, yes, there were black people in Germany. They were there because of the slave trade. And when the Nazis took over, they got them out of there. Like, remember, a whole different subject, but I'm just like letting you see, like, some of these memes that we see that are just so ridiculous, but they lack common sense when people are reading these and believing that it's true because it's a meme. Remember, Hitler killed 6 million Jews. What they forget to tell you is he killed 5 million others, many of them black. Anyway, what's up? What's up to Don P914? What's good? He said, I think dude is working with the feds. I mean, I thought that when he started going against the NOI so hard, because he was doing it at the time when a lot of people were going after the NOI. It was like the talking point of the day to attack. Let me see what's up. We got Escape from Alcatraz. Jay, I'm from Seattle. I'm in the Bay right now. How's everything going in King County these days? Man, I'm in Houston now. I miss Seattle. I've been in Houston for like a year now. But yeah, shout out to the town. There, 206 Emerald City, baby. Shout out to Target Base Clown. Don't drink the Kool-Aid. Short Bus Shorty. The code is the leader. Jesse Parks for Denver mayor. Shout out. What else we got? Let me see. I hope you are mad at Bay and Young Pharaoh like black women. You probably booed up with some white chick using logic. I know how the bros are in C-Town. Okay. That turned quick. 2 minutes makes all the difference. Okay. Boot up with some white chick. I ain't gonna lie. There is a lot of interracial in Seattle. I ain't gonna lie. But a lot of it's due to the pimping. A lot of niggas in Seattle pimp the shit out of white bitches, use the fuck out of them. But, hey, that's the business. But nah, I ain't whatever. I ain't got it even. Nah, I'm not even mad at Bay and Pharaoh. I'm just showing what it really is. That's what it is. Anyway, King Black. Get him J DZ. Shout out to King Black. Shout out to all y'all that's watching. Make sure you like and all that good stuff. Subscribe if you ain't already. And I'll start opening this up for people like Escape from Alcatraz if they want to come through. You know what I'm saying? A lot of times when I give that opportunity to pull up, they don't really want to do that. I will give the opportunity. Yeah. I don't have time right now though. See, Iron Will, shout out to you, bro. He's the best member in P. Diddy's The Band. The scary thing, and this is the point, the scary thing is that there are people that follow clowns like this. And yes, these days there's an audience for anything. Critical thinking's at an all-time low. People don't even do the research. People will tell them to research it, knowing that they won't really research it. You know what I'm saying? So, that's where we're at right now. That's why it's very important for the new black media to continue pushing it and to continue to be supported. And you're supporting it by watching it, by liking it, by subscribing, by commenting, interacting, engaging, and the things that you may do on social media to post certain things and information. But it doesn't end there. It also has to be grassroots, on the ground, real tangible support. This is how we've been able to move the needle without the help of the mainstream media. This is how we've been able to influence the world. This is why, like I said, Operation Chaos was created in part as a response to the grassroots of that day, because they understood the grassroots was starting to influence the world. In India, there is a Black Panther Party, or there was in the 60s, that they modeled themselves after the Black Panther Party of the day. Ghana, a lot of countries in Asia, they were listening to the likes of, and even in Europe, they got murals of Black Panthers, of Marcus Garvey, of the freedom fighters of the 60s, and they had them there since the 60s. In Ireland, Scotland, all over, we have influence. And so we can influence with our culture when it comes to hip hop and music. We can influence them with our fight for justice. We can garner the support worldwide. When they see us standing up, they support it. Or they start standing up against the injustices where they're at, modeling it after us. That's the type of influence we have. So this is why it's so important for these operatives to neutralize it. And let me leave you with the quote and a clip that I showed at the beginning. Check this out. This was part of in the Operation Chaos. It says, it's a job for the deep cover agents who know how to infiltrate and destroy organizations from the inside. Within months, the GIs have turned their fire on one another. Then the interrogations began to discover whom among them have been brainwashed enough Manchurian candidate style to assassinate their own leaders. Like I said, every empire fell because of infighting first, and those who went against their own nation to assist outsiders. Same thing is happening right now within our organizations. I'm going to end that with, let me end this with getting back to what I started with as we go out. Thanks for watching, y'all. I'm about to make moves and slide like grease. Peace.
Unity party with people who don't want the true liberation of black people. This ain't no unity party with we all not gonna be together. This ain't no damn unity party with punks. This ain't no unity party with people who don't want the true liberation of black people. This ain't no unity party with betrayers and snitchers and hypocrites and weak-minded, weak-blooded, spineless black people. This ain't that kind of party. So you take your raggedy ass on home. But those who want liberation, those who want to see black people really free at last, you walk away from these punctified Negroes unless you unite the like-minded of us, whether we are Christians or Muslims or nationalists or agnostics or socialists. If we are like-minded on reparations and on justice for our people, we are brothers indeed. But a black face ain't gonna make you no brother today. Go ahead. We tired of these black-faced, white-hearted, go ahead, say that, masquerading as though you love your people.